Hello and welcome back to the Atmosphere's Electric. As always, there's Fran. I'm Rich. How are you, bud?
Yeah, not bad, mate. You?
Yeah, very good. Very excited about football. Proper football is back and it's coming back even more this weekend. So it feels good to have it back in our lives, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's even a bit of the AFL coming back in as well, and then now obviously the Premier League. It is good to be back with proper football.
It has been. It's been good to be able to, just like I say, get involved in the Championship, League One, League Two. Obviously, a bit of the EFL Cup at the midweek. There was some exciting games in there as well. Some great comebacks and penalties and all kinds of crazy things. So yeah, it really feels like it's back. And of course, the Premier League kicks off tonight. So this season we're going to be very much more focused on predictions rather than sort of topics and kind of really trying to dive into our accuracy and how many results we get correct and can I beat you and can you beat me. And today we've got a very short episode based on diaries not quite aligning this week. So we are going to get straight into the fixtures and straight into the I guess what's going to happen. You might as well not bother watching the games because we're going to tell you what's going to happen. Again, Fran, we'll come to you first. Obviously, it all kicks off at Anfield tonight, and of course, it's going to be a very emotional affair, no doubt, with no doubt an amazing kind of tribute to Diogo Jota. I'm sure there'll be lots of kind of emotion before kick-off. Uh, I'll just ask you one simple question. Can you see anything Bournemouth can do to stop the Liverpool juggernaut getting off to 3 easy points to start the season?
I'll be brutally honest. No, I see this as one of the most routine wins of game week one. Bournemouth have been cherry picked of their players. Keep using that phrase. Another one's just gone, hasn't he? Zabani's gone to
Yeah,
PSG. Yes, I've seen that they've been bringing players in, but Atawa now looks like he's going to Brentford. They're forward, so
43 million.
I mean, that's a bonkers price, but they seem to be losing players right, left, and centre. And yes, they've replaced a few, but some of them are going to be risks which they have to take. They're never going to buy proven players, but until I've seen them play a few times, I think they're going to be very poor this season. So I think this will be a very routine win for Liverpool. And I'm looking at the sort of markets of most shots, most corners, those sorts of things. And I think you get around about even money for Liverpool to win most shots, most corners. And I think that's a banker of bet.
Okay, yeah, that's not a bad shout. Do you think there's worth sticking Ekatike in as a goal scorer? Do you think? I mean, sure, it's written in the stars that he's going to score a goal at the Cop tonight, isn't it?
I mean, I was looking at that sort of thing this morning, but without knowing if he's going to start, which you think he would, but how long he's going to play for, even like Ther and those sort of things. I'd probably wait a couple of weeks before I start putting player bets in with stats based picks just to see how they're performing. You know, are they having lots of shots, those sorts of things. But I have seen a couple of Salah shots on targets boosted to evens, which you know what you get with Salah. He's going to play the full 90. He generally has lots of shots, so even money on that. I think it's Paddy Power and Sky Better offering £10 max. So fill your boots.
I think it's going to be an interesting piece. I watched in quite close detail the Community Shield last week, and I thought Liverpool's style changed quite dramatically from last year. Now, whether that's just based on the fullback, wing-back piece, the ball definitely was uh, very much moving forward to the high and wide fullbacks, direct from Van Dijk and Canate. So I think that's obviously a game plan with the wingers being a little bit more narrow. So I think there's definitely going to be some changes. It might take them a little while to get used to that. And of course, so many players making their debut at Anfield might have a little bit of nerves, but I think everybody's going to probably have this as a home banker. So how do you see this one going? What do you think it's going to finish?
I've gone 3-0. 3-0 Liverpool. Can't see Bournemouth scoring. And I think very, very routine win for Liverpool.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think it'll be 2-0 to Liverpool. I think first game of the season, not at full strength, not at full fitness, all that kind of good stuff. I think they will probably take their foot off the gas and maybe make some subs later on in the game. Uh, like I say, I wasn't massively impressed with their attacking output last week. So I think it'll be 2-0 to Liverpool. Arguably, one of the most interesting games of the weekend, kick off early on Saturday. So we're back Saturday early kick off, which is great. At Villa Park, Aston Villa host Newcastle. Both teams arguably not had a great transfer window so far. Both teams arguably a little bit weaker than last season. Certainly, I know Isak's still there, but he's not going to be playing. So does Isak not playing completely change your view of how this game might go?
Absolutely. I think if I would have looked at this game, with the team that finished last season for Newcastle, I'd have been all over Newcastle. I'd have thought there'd have been a very good price. Now I look at that without Isak, and I think there's a real downer feeling around Newcastle. I've seen people predicting them to finish sort of 10th, 9th, which I don't think they'll finish that low. But I think with the feeling around them without their main star striker, and he's massively kicking off, isn't he? I can't see how they score goals as well without him. So they don't really have a backup. Callum Wilson was the backup; he's now gone, so they don't have a backup striker as well. So I'm going to sit on the fence with this one because I don't particularly like what, like you just said, what Villa have done in pre-season. I don't like what they've done in the transfer market. They are, however, pretty stable from last year. So if I was to edge one way, I'd probably go for Villa, but I think I'll sit on the fence with a 1-1 draw.
The one player that I'm very interested in looking at from Villa, just because he's been sort of, I don't want to say touted, that makes it sound a little bit unfair, but he's definitely spoken about by many teams, is that Evan Gusand from Nice. He looks like someone that can play across a bit. Obviously, David Malan has had a fantastic pre-season as well, so they've definitely got some attacking options. Is it Dan? It's not Dave, not Dan.
David Malan's the
cricketer.
cricketer. I know you mean. I know you mean. What's his name? I put him in my fantasy team.
Oh,
the one who came from Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's had a great pre-season. Just not obviously not good enough for me to remember him. So I think
it's Marlon, isn't it?
That's it. They're definitely going to be there and about. They've got the core of that midfield, haven't they? They haven't lost the midfield three. They're going to be strong. They're going to be stable. As are Newcastle. So actually, again, this for me feels like potentially another under 2.5, certainly under 3.5 sort of game, maybe 1 or something like that. But that feels like a potential for me. So what are you going for the score on this one?
I've gone 1-1.
Yeah, fine. I think we'll double down on that one, and we'll have a double bubble. I think I'll go for the same. I think that makes. Of course, I remember 2 years ago, Newcastle absolutely battering for their first game of the season, and it was 4 or 5-1. So no doubt there'll be a crazy score, and of course the 12:30 kickoff always throws up some unusual bits and pieces. But for me, that feels like probably the sensible way to go. And we then come on to a couple of games that are actually, I think, quite difficult to kind of predict for different reasons. Brighton, who of course lost a couple of players again this summer, obviously João Pedro famously moving on, but still have arguably their crown jewel and believer for the time being. Of course, there's talk that may not be the case coming into the season, but certainly for the time being, they still have. Host Fulham, who again are another team that I can't really think of one player they've brought in that moves the dial, being honest with you. They've had a very quiet window. How do you see this one going? What do you think about both teams? Because I think this is a really, I mean, you could argue that stability offers strength, and therefore they were both very good last season, and therefore actually maybe Fulham are slightly ahead because they haven't lost any star players.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is quite a difficult one to predict, and you'll probably guess where I'll go with my prediction on that. You don't really know what you get with Brighton, do you? They've lost a key player, but then they do go and sign young gems, and you just don't know how they're going to perform. So I think, again, from a prediction point of view and from a betting standpoint, I wouldn't be plumping for Brighton in the first few weeks until I've seen what they're about and what some of those young players can offer. Fulham, on the other hand, you do know what you're getting from them. They were very up and down last season. They were good one week and poor the other. So again, I wouldn't be backing them from a betting perspective. So for me, I've gone 1-1. I can't split the two teams. I think if I was going to go for a team, I'd probably go for Brighton because they've probably got a few more wow factor players in their team, like Matoma. First week I wouldn't be putting any of them in my accumulator. I'd probably be going 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, Fulham have only brought in a goalkeeper, which doesn't really feel like their problem to me. Like in Bernd Leno, I think they've got one of the best goalkeepers in the league. Fantastic goalkeeper that he has. Like we said before, Ross Willian, who we really like, but obviously probably age has got the better of him now. Carlos Vinicius is clearly not a Premier League forward. So actually, they haven't lost much from the first team, but they've not added anything. And as we said, obviously Brighton have brought in. The one player I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing on a bit more of a regular is the left back. There we go. Trying to remember another Maxim. Yeah. He looks good. Looks like he could be on pens as well. So again, you mentioned fancy a couple of times. He's someone that can play most teams this season based on the fact that he's a good price and could be on set pieces as well.
I don't know is it Ferdi Kadıoğlu, the Turkish.
Yes.
I think he was the right back. I don't know whether he's going to get a lot more game time. So he was very highly rated when he came over and didn't really have too much of an impact. Didn't play a lot. So if he starts getting games as well from a fantasy perspective, he's a very attacking fullback.
Yeah, we've obviously spoken about João Pedro leaving. The one that I found really strange was, and under no kind of fanfare at all, was Estepinian going to AC Milan. I really liked him as a left back, but obviously they've put all their eggs in the new guy, so obviously let him go. But so are you going 1-1 for this one as well?
I'm going 1-1.
I think I'm going to go 2-1 Brighton. I think I'm going to go 2-1 Brighton. I can see Carol Matoma, if he stays fit, having a very good season this year. I think he could be.
he's crucial to them, isn't he? He's their star player, he's their X Factor player, and they need him to be fit all season and firing because he does give them that width and that creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. We race on to Sunderland being back in the Premier League. It feels like a lifetime ago that they've been in the Premier League.
Miss Spurs, Burnley.
Oh, alphabetically, yes, becomes 4T for me.
Go on then.
Sorry, it's just Tottenham on mine. Because again, remember, you only have to call them one or two things. They get a bit sensitive about that, aren't they? So we're going to Sunderland first, who host West Ham. I mean, I've heard so many people get excited about Sunderland's window, but then actually when it comes to making predictions, most people still have them as going down. I've seen people tell me that West Ham have had a great transfer window, as they did last season, winning the transfer window. But people still think that they could be in trouble. This could be a really interesting end. Again, we talked about the motion at Liverpool for different reasons. This is going to be a noisy affair, isn't it? The stadium and the fans are going to get right behind this team. This could be a really interesting ding-dong.
I think this is a great game for both teams. It's an opportunity for West Ham to start with a win, isn't it, against a promoted team? And Sunderland will look at West Ham with the way that they finished and go, this is an opportunity for us to start really well. So, I think this is going to be a great game. Again, I find this game very difficult to predict because I'd agree with you. I think both teams have had a good window. I like what Sunderland have been doing. I think if you get being promoted, they've given you a bit of a blueprint of what you need to do is go out and get some good, young, hungry players with a few experienced players like Xhaka sprinkled into that. And I agree with you, West Ham have had a good window as well. So again, I'm going to sit on the fence. I can't split them until I've seen, this new look Sunderland team. If it was the Sunderland team coming up, I think they'd get whooped, but it's not. So not seen anything of them. I am going to go 1-1 again.
Absolutely. I mean, Sunderland haven't had a great pre-season, but that is absolutely no metric as to how the team go. I think for me, there's one key difference between the two. I mean, Fulkrug and Jarrod Bowen, West Ham have got goal scorers that can turn half a chance into a goal, and I'm yet to be convinced that Sunderland have that.
I just don't like West Ham's defence. I think players like Isidore, who is a good player, and I think he's got the ability to transfer his goal scoring record from the Championship to the Premier League. I think he could cause them problems with his pace.
So I'm not for 1 second saying this is going to be a comfortable West Ham victory at all. I think this could be very tight. I guess what I'm saying is that I think this could be a bit like a basketball game to start off with. The excitement from Sunderland, fans behind them. I can see them taking the lead, but I just think that West Ham will eventually have the quality to put away a couple of half chances. Fulkrug for me is criminally underrated as a forward because he was injured most of last year. He's a proper centre forward.
If he can stay fit, he'll do I think he'll have a good season.
And I think he offers Jarrod Bowen more space because I think I think Fulkrug's more of a centre forward than Mikel Antonio. Definitely more of a goal scorer. So I think that very interestingly, I love the new left wing back they've brought in. I think he's an absolute no-brainer for fantasy. I think the new goalkeeper from Leicester, obviously, we thought was going to go to Chelsea. So again, it shows you what Graham Potter's trying to do. So they've brought in some good players. So I see this being Sunderland 1, West Ham 2 with Fulkrug scoring the winner. That's my, if you want me to add a little bit of flavour, salt and pepper to it, that's where I see that game ending. But very tight. And if I'm honest with you, I wish that was one of the live games. I'd love to watch that game. I think that'd be a really entertaining game.
No, agreed.
However, I don't think at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium it's going to be a particularly entertaining game, if I'm honest with you. Tottenham host Burnley. I think this could be a bit of a attritional survival because Spurs obviously just off the back of what was a tough night and both not just mentally but also physically in the sense that they had to play top level opposition 2 days before your first Premier League game. Feels a bit crazy to have it that close to the season starts. Burnley obviously aren't known for their free flow and attacking football, so this for me feels like there could be under 2.5 with 1 goal in it maybe.
I think so. I'm not going 1-1 with this for a change. I'm thinking Spurs will win this. I actually think Burnley are probably the perfect opposition for them to come back from playing PSG. Burnley will sit in and be defensively solid. So I think when you're talking about the legs and the fitness of having a game 2 days ago, I don't think that's going to come into play as much as if they were playing somebody who's going to make them run a lot. So I can't see I can see Spurs having a lot of the ball. Being very comfortable in possession, Burnley sitting in with a low block. So I think that'll probably play into the hands. And Burnley are not PSG at all. They're not going to be able to do what PSG did. I can see this being a Spurs win. I'm going to go 2-1. I think Burnley may nick something, sort of a set piece or something like that. But I think this will be pretty comfortable for Spurs.
Yeah, I don't see Burnley scoring. The one thing I would say about what Thomas Frank has done with Spurs is that they look very organised across the board. I mean, I'd like to go back and ask Gans Postecoglou who had not made Kevin Dance had to throw the ball 100 miles. Because all of a sudden they've got a long throw expert in their team. So Tottenham are going to be very different this season. They haven't quite got all of their players in, but I think it's been 1-0 Tottenham, and that's probably a fair result and probably something that they'll take right now, if I'm being honest with you, after Wednesday night. Saturday night football back. Wolverhampton Wanderers host Manchester City. Again, if there's a more clear-cut away victory this weekend, I don't know where it is. Wolves have had another, for me, a terrible transfer window. When we talk about established Premier League teams that could be in the mix, they have, for relegation, they have to be one of them. Can you make any case for Wolves here?
Nope. I think this is. You've literally took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say this is banker of the game week for me. I can't see how Wolves hurt Man City anywhere on the pitch. The players that Man City have brought in as well. This is probably one of the best games they could have walked into. Not a promoted team that's going to be bouncing. There's bad feeling around Wolves. I can't see anything but a comfortable Man City win. They're going 3-0, and I think I'm probably being kind.
Yeah, I don't disagree in any of that. I think, obviously, the one caveat I would say is that some of the players Wolves have signed are maybe just unknown to us. They're very good players in there, whether, South America as an example, but just, like I say, I think this is going to be, you don't lose Aït-Nouri and Cunha, and not replace them with the same level of quality. And Semedo, to be fair, Nelson Semedo obviously leaving as well. I think it's going to be a bit of a miss in terms of squad depth. So yeah, I'm going to go, 1-4. Wolves 1, Manchester City 4, and Cherky is going to score a goal for Manchester City today.
Yeah, and
not today.
Good price in fantasy.
Cherky. Yeah. Well, some player. I'll tell you, some player. But by the way, good price in real life. And I know that's a crazy thing to say. And I do wonder at the end of the season when the people look back at the price they paid for him compared to what Liverpool paid for Verts, and I think you'll find there's not much difference between the two. And I think one team might just be a bit happy with what they paid in the end of the season. We move to Sunday where there are 3 games, all of them live on the telly. Obviously, there's more matches on the telly this year, so hopefully that's good news for those of you playing on a Sunday. Chelsea host Crystal Palace, 2:00 kickoff at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea, obviously world champions, good window, made some good signings, but Crystal Palace fresh off the back of that great performance against Liverpool. I really thought they were the better team for the most part, and arguably unlucky to need to go to penalties. How do you see this one going?
I think this is a great game. I can see Chelsea just edging it, just to having that little bit more quality. But where there was, a bit of bad feeling around Palace, and not from a player's perspective, but obviously being demoted from the Europa League to the Conference League, and then not really signing anyone. There's rumours around Guehi, lots of their players, Eze, they're still not gone. They're still, I think they proved, like you said, against everyone, they're still a very good side. Still a very good side. So I think this has got the potential to be a great game, but I can just see Chelsea edging it with the abundance of talent that they've got in their squad, and it seems to just be clicking, doesn't it? And they are moving forward. I've seen people tipping them up for the league. I wouldn't go that far, but they are definitely a threat to a lot of teams. So I'm going to go Chelsea 2, Palace 1.
Yeah. I'll just go a little bit more exciting just because I would have said 2-1, but I'm going to go 3-2 Chelsea. Mateta, Sarr, Eze, if he plays, I know that he might not even still be there. We're recording this on a Friday morning. It's getting very close to him not being there, but whether it's done in time or whether that's his swan song. Like I say, I think it's been a very exciting game, and we can talk about fantasy. There's good shouts across both teams in there. It's going to be, I think quite a high goal scoring game. Having said that, on the other side, at the other 2:00 kickoff that takes place at the City Ground, Nottingham Forest host Brentford, I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think this could be quite a turgid, low scoring game, if I'm being honest, but I'm happy to be proved wrong.
I don't get what Forest are trying to do. Like some of the signings that they're making, they seem to be attacking signings, and Nuno is moving away from this rigid defensive style of football, which just hasn't worked in pre-season. By all accounts, they've been dreadful. So, I think they'll beat Brentford, so I would go Forest 1, Brentford 0. Don't like what Brentford are doing at all with the manager, with the players. Visser looks like he's now off to Newcastle. Not entirely sold on Utara from Bournemouth as well for that price. Yeah, I think they're in real trouble going down. So I'm going to go Forest 1, Brentford 0.
Yeah, lock me in. Same. It's got a 1-0 Forest written all over it, and that's because it's at Forest. I think. Yeah, let's just say both of them are on the telly, and I'll be firmly fixated on Chelsea Palace. I won't spend a minute watching Nottingham Forest Brentford, and that's probably the best way I can describe it. I don't see the attraction in that game at all. And I think Nottingham Forest are in for a much tougher season this year. Speaking off the record, well, not off the record, if this is a pretty on record, I'm not a massive fan of the Amari Hutchinson transfer. I don't think he's a player to solve their problems, if I'm honest. But
for that price as well, some of the fees that are going around for some players at the minute is bonkers.
Well, it's almost like we're helping each other out from a PSR point of view, isn't it? I mean, we'll move on. As much as we spoke about a couple of games after the Newcastle, the next biggest game, if you like, is obviously Manchester United. New look Manchester United with over £200 million worth of new talent. So thank God they sacked a couple of dinner ladies. Host Arsenal, who of course are now complete with their centre forward Gyökeres. So Arsenal, a bang up there. This could be a very interesting game. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I think this could be an interesting game. I think United will definitely be better than last year. I can't see them getting any worse. They're going to struggle to get any worse. They've made some good signings, like what he's done. He's shipped a few players out. Still waiting for him to get rid of bad eggs like Garnacho. I think once he's done that, they'll kick on even more. But I like what Arsenal have done. I do like Gyökeres. I'm a bit going to sit on the fence of him. I still think he's got the potential to flop. I'd love to see him do well there. I really would. But when you bring players in from Portugal, they do seem to be very hit or miss, and you either get a superstar or you get an absolute flop. So I'm not entirely sold on that transfer, but it's a striker, so I like what they've done there. I am going to go Arsenal 2, Manchester United 1. I can see them winning the game, getting off to a good start. Wouldn't even surprise me if it was 2-0.
Yeah, I don't disagree with everything you said there. I think Arsenal will still be too strong for Manchester United. I think, being honest with you, Man United still have a long way to catch up from where Arsenal were. I don't think they've done enough. They've definitely made some great strides. So I am also going to go. No, I'm going to go 0-2. Manchester United 0, Arsenal 2.
Yeah, I just thought I'd add the 1 because generally United always step it up, don't they?
If I'm honest with you, I'm just thinking something different to you. I do think Manchester United will score. If I'm being completely honest, I think your score is going to be the score. But just to be a bit different, I've gone 2-0. But I think you've nailed it. I think Sesko, by the way, I think Sesko will be a very good signing for them. I think he's young, he's hungry. I think he's got points to prove. I think he'll be a very good signing for them. And I think once they find their shape, I think they will be much, much better than they were last year.
My concern on Sesko is very similar to the Højlund mould. And when you hear people like Roy Keane say it, and I agree with them, it's when you're buying forwards for Manchester United, you need to hit the ground running. And when you're young, it just takes a couple of games, doesn't it, to knock your confidence like Højlund did, and all of a sudden you're on the scrap heap. So I hope you do, again, similar to Gyökeres, I hope that both of them have a good start and start scoring goals, because we want to see good forwards in the Premier League. We're not interested in, what Højlund's done where he's not scored goals. So yeah, good luck to them both.
If you've got anything about you as a Manchester United manager, you'd leave Sesko out of Arsenal, chuck him on the last 15 minutes, and let him make him debut away at Fulham next weekend, because he's got far more chance of scoring a goal and he's off and flying, rather than if he doesn't have a great game against Arsenal, which are one of the best defences in Europe. You know how social media and panic sets in, and everyone's going to be showing you all the highlights of all the things he didn't do, and before you know it, it becomes a reality. So for me, I would be letting him come for a bit of a cameo. And by the way, in that cameo, he might score the goal that wins the game or draws the game. So it's instant hero. But I'd be throwing him in the deep end against Fulham away, which feels like a much more comfortable game for him to start in. Monday night football is back at Ellen Road. Welcome back, Leeds. Obviously not that long that you've been down this time. You host Everton, much changed Everton. Very interesting. Couple of very interesting signings there. Dewsbury Hall, Grealish to add to some of the players, Dwight McNeil and TAIE. Obviously they've signed the new centre forward as well. So Everton, having said that, they are missing Branthwaite. It looks like he's picked up an injury. This could be anything. I've got no idea where you go this one. So where are you going for this one, Frank?
I've got a little inkling for this. I think Everton are a fantastic price. I've managed to go 7-4. So I'm going Leeds 0, Everton 2. I like what Leeds have done with the transfer. They've thought outside the box. They've not really bought players who are well known. That can go one way or the other. And again, until I've seen them, I haven't really got much thought on Leeds. I think they could do okay this year. However, what Everton have done, Kieran Dewsbury Hall, some of the very good players that have come into the squad. Jack Grealish, like you said, I really like what they've done. I think they'll kick on from last year in Moyes. I think he's the perfect manager for them at this minute in time. And I can see this being pretty comfortable for them.
Okay. So I don't disagree. I think Everton will be much higher this season than last season. I think you're absolutely right. They'll play better football as well. They're going to try and play a bit more football. I think, interestingly, Leeds haven't signed a player under 180, I don't think, and their goalkeeper's over 2 metres. Very clear blueprint there. I think there will be goals from set pieces in this game. I'm going to go Leeds 1, Everton 2. Very whistle stop tour there, Fran. I'm late. But where can people? We will kick off. Have you got a quick £5 challenge for us? Let's go
Yeah,
there.
I mean, so I'll give you my £5 challenge quickly in my banker. So my £5 challenge is Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Everton, which pays 16-1.
Wow.
And my banker is Liverpool and Man City to win most shots, most corners, and that's 3.29-1. So I'm going to go with a tenner for a banker, and then I'm going to do the P&L. I'm going to copy the P&L this year and post it so they know exactly what we're doing and how much we are earning. I'm going to say earning rather than losing. So yeah.
Right, yeah, my £5 challenge is a little bit dull to start with, but Man City, Tottenham, and Chelsea, £5 returns 15. Just looking to get off to a nice, easy start, hopefully, with someone coming in, so we can start to be a little bit more aggressive once we know what some of the other teams look like.
Who's your banker?
Man City away. No doubt about it. Man City away. So, Frank, very whistle stop. Thank you for your time. Where can people reach out and find us?
So we are on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. If you want to listen to us, and on social media, we're on X, Facebook, and TikTok.
Amazing, Frank. Good work, and look forward to seeing how we get on next week. Have a good one, bud. Take care.